Chapter 5560. Sorcerer, you won't be distracted and mad, and you have to take the entire Maruor time and space to the funeral. Even the Frozer didn't know this, but I'm afraid he knew it too. Actually, the Tribulation Realm is not as bad as you think. After becoming a Tribulation Realm, after completing the first 3 tribulations, mastering a universe and becoming the master of the universe, it is of great help to one's own cultivation, and every tribulation is separated by time. There are countless epochs, there is enough time to deal with it. Becoming the Lord of the universe, the benefits are beyond words. The resources at your disposal are also different. You can cultivate families, sects, and strengths, and you can also build your own universe into a universe that nurtures treasures, relying on countless treasures to cultivate. That is a whole new level. After the first 3 catastrophes, everything will change qualitatively. After taking control of a universe, as long as it is not too unlucky, you can survive the 4th or even 5th calamity smoothly. But the 6th calamity is different. Even if it is supported by a universe, it will be difficult to get through it. The 3 kings back then and Fuego now are both powerful in the 5 tribulations realm. The 3 great masters of the Chishan Temple are the 6 tribulations realm powerhouses. In the entire Maruor time and space, there are a total of 4 6 tribulations realm powerhouses, 3 of whom have taken refuge in the Chishan. The Chishan is a powerhouse in the 7 tribulations realm. Naturally, countless people want to take refuge. It is not only a simple backer, but the most important thing is to get the guidance of the Chishan. This is the most important point. Jian Wushuang knew so much all at once, and was constantly consuming it, and the road ahead seemed to be brighter again. His current combat power is about the 6th tier peak. As long as he succeeds in joining the Tao, he will soon be able to reach the top. In fact, it is not very far from the Lord of the Universe. Naturally, you need to know a little more. During the conversation between the two, 100 years passed without knowing it. And the powerhouse gathered by the true spirits is also ready to come quietly. It's just that the 2 of them don't know at all. In the huge formation, hundreds of strong men sat cross-legged above each formation eye. The 3 people at the core are opposite each other, Jian Wushuang, the Frozer, and Fuego. The world suddenly began to tremble, and a powerful breath was coming. That breath came from underground. It may break out at any time. The face of the changed drastically, and he had a bad feeling in his heart. This place is one way. He knows this better than the real spirit. The other party can't ignore him and come here in person. As long as he is not the real body, he can block the opponent. But now that breath is gradually rising, and the power has soared to the tribulation stage. Over the years, Jian Wushuang has been recovering from his injuries in Wei Fuego. Although the injury of the gods is not deep, it only takes a few years, but he is not in a hurry. Now it is still half a step in the battle power of the robbery realm. Although Fuego only eased his injury, his strength did not improve too much, and now a sense of catastrophe suddenly appeared, and it was difficult for anyone to resist. I am afraid that the 2 of them are not very sure about joining hands. In this way, not only is time wasted, but it is also likely to be delayed. You stay here, I will go alone. The was cruel and didn't let Jian Wushuang stop. He was incarnate as a golden dragon on his body and rushed out of the big formation. Countless cracks began to appear on the dim ground. That breath is just underground. Boom. Countless fragments of dust fly up, said to be dust, but each piece is like a huge mountain. The main body of the underground breath of the master can be imagined how huge it is. When the saw the incoming person, his eyes shrank, and he said in shock, "Is it you?" The person who came is not the true spirit. If it is the true spirit, he would not be so shocked, unless the true body of the true spirit comes. There was a strange laughter, and Jian Wushuang's scalp numb at a long distance. Across the big formation, Jian Wushuang could only vaguely see the silhouette of the other side. It was a huge humanoid beast with a towering body like a world. A huge tail was wagging. The recognized the powerhouse of the robbery realm in front of him, and he sighed with relief. He was afraid that he would not know the other party and would deal with them as soon as he came. Zhuang Zhong. The Frozer let out a smile, and calmly said, "You are still alive." Seeing Frozer, the behemoth slowly shrank, but it was still 10,000 times in size, facing the gods far away, and said coldly, "You are not dead, this bug, how could this seat fall, bedbug?" These two words pierced into the heart of the gods fiercely. He was a proud giant, and was called a bug. If it weren't for being here, he would have died 100 times and it would not be enough to quell the hatred in his heart. The other party was nothing but a small ancient desolate beast in the realm of a catastrophe. In Maruor time and space, it is the lowest level. This kind of ants dare to taunt him, which makes Froza very angry, but anger returns to anger. Now the overall situation is more important and can't anger the other party. Brother Zhuangzhong was joking, "I was just a fluke." The god's complexion was distorted and he had to bow his head. The opponent's strength is far superior to him, after all, it is a real calamity realm power. Zhuangzhong was a little surprised. In the past, when Froza was said to be a bug, the other party wanted to jump and go desperately. How can he talk so well now? He tilted his head and looked behind Froza, leaked a sneer. "I thought you were silly by being locked up here, and you have lost your temper at all. It turns out that you have another plan," Zhuangzhong said, stepping forward to the big formation. The was anxious, and quickly blocked the way. Man Shan couldn't get past, and now he can only rely on his deceptive means to hold the opponent. "Brother Zhuangzhong, don't you want to leave this place?" Zhuangzhong shook his head, and only said two words, "Get out of the way." The voice is very cold, there is no room for negotiation. The gods once again persuaded, "I know where your magic clock is." This time the opponent paused, but it was only for a moment, and then continued to approach the big formation. Seeing the persuasion not to move, the face of the gods also became cold, the light on his body instantly skyrocketed, and his breath continued to rise. That breath has surpassed those gods, and is even stronger than the four great hall masters. Half-step robbery. It is not to be underestimated, after all, it is not an absolute top. "You want to stop me?" Zhuangzhong sneered, "Then I want to go." He likes things that are bad for others the most. Anyway, there is no way to go out here. Back then, even the 5 Tribulations realm powerhouses were suppressed here. He really didn't believe that Froza could get out. That big formation might have other effects. He just got out of trouble, but he was curious about what he was doing. "Zhuangzhong, I don't know why you are still alive, but today, you can't think of doing anything wrong with me." Froza yelled, and a huge force burst out from his mouth and went straight to Zhuangzhong. The huge energy illuminates the entire first prison. Zhuangzhong felt a threat. When he turned his head, a hot light shone on his face, with an incredible expression in his eyes. End of this chapter. Chapter 5561, Boom. Zhuangzhong's physical body instantly turned into powder, and even his breath was wiped out. Wow. After the huge power tilted, Zhuangzhong relied on the trace of his remaining aura in the space to instantly restore his original shape, but his aura was weaker, obviously injured. Zhuangzhong was very shocked. The opponent's combat power was obviously only half a step, and it could actually hurt him. "I dare not look down on each other for a while." The Froza panted heavily and stopped Zhuangzhong's path again. "Your move just consumed 10% of his source. It's an injury for an injury. If you can't stop it, you can consume the opponent's strength as much as possible, and Fuego will be able to deal with it. Do you need me to take action now?" Fuego was also paying attention, transmitting the voice to Froza. He was really afraid that Froza could not stop it. Jian Wushuang was also very entangled. At this time, this kind of thing happened, and I don't know if it is good or bad. If Fuego does not regain his strength, he will never get out. But if he regained his strength, he was afraid that he would kill the donkey again. Froza slowly shook his head, calmly, without a voice transmission, but said loudly, "Don't worry about me." "Are you so confident?" Zhuangzhong was a little surprised, he was really bluffed by the Froza. The move just now really hurt his origin, and he is now in a dilemma for a while. From the underground world, he also experienced many difficulties and dangers. At the beginning of the fall of the Chishan, the tribulation powers who were suppressed in the first prison were all suppressed deep underground, trapped in a furnace, and served as fuel for the temple of the Chishan. Now that he finally escaped, He didn't want to sail in the gutter as soon as he came out. Frozer saw the other party hesitate, his face slowly became cold, and this was in his arms. Although he didn't know how the other party was still alive, since the other party had just appeared, I'm afraid he wouldn't want to fight him hard. You can try. Zhuangzhong stared at Frozer, and said with some uncertainty, in that big formation, is the power of life exuding? When he first came out, he hadn't cared about it. Now that he could feel the power of the big formation, he realized that the power contained in the big formation was actually the force of life. In ancient times, to obtain a large amount of life force, you need to spend countless sources of all things to refine. Today, the life force contained in that large array is extremely strong, and it seems that it is not refined by the power of all things, but from a person. The power within the practitioner. This surprised him very much. At the beginning, he didn't believe what Frozer said, but now he understands a little bit. In the big formation, there is still a breath, the power of that breath is similar to him, it is all in the robbery realm, and it seems not weak. Talk. Zhuangzhong put away the power on his body, and looked at Frozer with a smile. Frozer was overjoyed and seemed to succeed. Of course you can talk, as long as you can hold the opponent. Once Fuego recovers his strength, he will kill the opponent. But before he could answer, the sky began to become gloomy, and a huge vortex began to condense. This scene surprised both of them. Frozer had been prepared for a long time, and he knew that the true spirit must be unable to bear to come in. He didn't expect such a coincidence, he just got Zhuangzhong and the opponent came. Zhuangzhong was a little confused about all this. The vortex slowly formed, and the power in it leaked out, and every trace was enough to make the Lord of the Universe fall. This is also the reason why this place is one way, and even the 5 tribulations realm cannot be broken. At the beginning, there was only one person who could open this place at will, and the rest could not open it. The 3 major gods cannot destroy this place. Call. In the depths of the whirlpool, a group of people faintly appeared. Jian Wushuang, the man who took the lead, was very familiar with him, and he was the true spirit. It's just that there is no change in his face, but the body has undergone earth-shaking changes. This is nothing. Behind the true spirit, dozens of special beings, each hideous and terrifying. The true spirit is here. At this moment, Jian Wushuang was embarrassed. Zhenling glared his small eyes and glanced around. It was self-evident that Jian Wushuang had completely rebelled. One person surprised him. Zhuangzhong. You. Zhuangzhong was also surprised. He didn't know the other party's direct lineage, but he could feel a familiar breath from the other party, that was the breath of ambivalence. After feeling this breath, Zhuangzhong quickly backed away. The deterrent power of Qishan was too shocking for someone like Zhuangzhong who was strong in the 1 tribulation realm. Not to mention the gods, even if he was the Lord of the Universe who had survived the first 3 Kalpa, he would tremble when he saw it. No. Zhuangzhong reacted quickly. He could feel that the breath of true spirit was very similar to that of Qishan, but that breath was very weak, not much different from him, or even not as strong as him. Almost bluffed by the real spirit. Why are you here? True spirit didn't pay attention to Frozer, but asked why Zhuangzhong appeared here. Except for Frozer, the rest of the tribulation realm powerhouses were suppressed in purgatory and became part of the temple of Qishan. Why did Zhuangzhong suddenly appear here? Zhenling suddenly turned his head to look at Frozer. Frozer knew what the other party was thinking and didn't make any response. This time the situation has become a little confused. The appearance of Zhuangzhong disrupted their plans. Originally, the true spirit came to kill or hold Frozer and Fuego. The wants to live in peace, and it only takes 100,000 years before he can leave from here. The appearance of Zhuangzhong completely disrupted the situation. No matter which side you are on, there is a certainty of victory. If you help Frozer, then the clone of the true spirit will lose, and there is no possibility of winning. Even if the true spirit cannot be defeated now, it can still hold the true spirit. For the current Jian Wushuang, this couldn't be better. Not only can he go out, at least he won't be settled by the true spirit. But if Zhuangzhong turned against the water and stood on the side of the true spirit, it would be different. Not only would the great formation be broken, both Fuego and Frozer would fall. UU reading www.ukanshu.com. No matter whether the true spirit kills him or not, he can't leave this place. Wow. Jian Wushuang got up directly and stopped the big formation. Foyigo also stood up, and now everyone except Zhuangzhong himself knows that life and death are in the hands of the other party. Zhenling's complexion slowed down, instead of asking questions, but leaking a smile, he said, Zhuangzhong, the first strongest of the Zhuang family, he was originally from the Three Kings Court, right? How do you know who you are? Zhuangzhong was very jealous of the true spirit. Although his strength is not as good as him, the aura of ambivalence can shock him. Seeing this situation, the gods quickly explained the true spirit's identity and the current situation of the Chishan temple. He was afraid that Zhuangzhong would be bluffed by the breath of the true spirit. Zhuangzhong's expression changed, and then he laughed wildly, with no fear in his heart. Chapter 5562. Haha, I really didn't expect that one day I will become the dominant player, and even the dominant temple of the gods will be destroyed. Zhuangzhong was a little crazy. His strength was a small figure in the ancient times. Although he was also a strong man in the robbery realm, he was not even considered an ant for a character like the god of tribulation. At least he had mastered the tribulation realm of the universe to be able to enter the eyes of the gods. He was just a barren beast who had just entered the tribulation realm, and his family power was also very ordinary. The ancestor was just a strong man in the second tribulation realm, and he had a bit of a say in the court of the Three Kings, but on the side of the Chishan, there was nothing. Now that he can actually dominate the decline of the Temple of Fortune, how can this not make him crazy? God of God. Zhuangzhong gritted his teeth. When the Three Kings were annihilated, a from the Temple of Chishan came, suppressed them all and plundered them to the Temple of Chishan. He has never forgotten this hatred. Seeing the other's aura rising and being full of hostility, Zhenling's heart sank. This time the plan seems to be defeated. The Frozer was ecstatic in his heart. As long as the real spirit's law body was killed, everything was easy to say. He didn't believe that the true spirit dared to let his deity descend. If the deity came, he would recognize it, and it would be a big deal to be trapped here together. He bet Zhenling would not dare to do this. The inheritors have just risen, and the true spirit will not give up. No one in the outside world can provoke the beams of the Chishan temple. Once the true spirit is trapped here, the Chishan temple will have strong enemies on the outside and rebellion inside. He knew the god of the primordial universe, and the other party was still using his power to break the seal, that God's strength was not weak. At the beginning, it swallowed the avenue and turned into 3 gods. One of the gods was beaten to pieces, and turned into 5 big demon masters, the mountain monarch of Maureen Mountain, the 10,000 demons of Xuanwu Temple, and the blood demons next to the monarch in the cloud. There are 2 remaining, a wind demon controlled by the true spirit, and a heart demon who has nowhere to go. Each has a half-step robbery realm combat power. Turned into 5 parts, they are all so powerful, and God's strength is even more terrifying. The God suppressed by the primitive universe has the power of the 5 tribulations at its peak. Just being injured by someone, coupled with being suppressed, now the 3 tribulations realm is considered good, but even so, it can threaten the Temple of Chishan. If the true spirit sits, it's okay. Without the true spirit, relying solely on the external defense of the Temple of Qi, I'm afraid it will be difficult to stop that god. So the real spirit dare not gamble, he dare not let the real body into this place. But without the real body coming, the current law body alone couldn't stop it. When Foyigo returns to his peak, there may be some way to escape from this place, otherwise Frozer will not dare to let Foyigo in rashly. Idiot! Zhenling shouted angrily, staring at Zhuangzhong and cursed, "What are you? I will kill you first today." The real spirit is not talking nonsense, just shoot directly. The black brilliance flashed on his body, and a whole set of cosmic treasures exploded with power, from the armor on his body to the amazing power on all sides, all exuding dazzling light. It's just that the light is different from white sunlight, but black light. Zhenling shot, right in Frozer's arms, sitting on the mountain and watching the tigers fight. Zhuangzhong shouted angrily, swelling up likewise, turning into a barren beast covering the sky and the sun. Black Yarojing Light Lake. In the face of such a powerful treasure, Zhuangzhong did not flinch. As he said, he is now in charge of everything. With a blow in the face, a humming sound from the ancient times rang, and the wild beast living in the darkness fought with the true spirit. What everyone sees is enthusiasm. This is the powerhouse of the robbery realm. Jian Wushuang was equally shocked, although the gods said that the robbery was worthless, but the breath of the opponent's body made him very yearning. He is a Taoist monarch. In this kind of battle, I am afraid that he can't survive for a while, and a random wave of air can crush him. Go, kill them. The turned his head and pointed at the people in the large array in the distance, and said to the special beings behind him, don't keep any of them. Those who are particularly strong in life have long been gearing their hands and can't stand it any longer. Hearing the words of the real spirit, they immediately set off. With dozens of special beings with outstanding combat power, the Frozer frowned. It would be nothing if it was an ordinary absolute peak, but there were still a few special beings that were comparable to the half-step tribulation realm, which was very troublesome. The rest of them protect Jian Wushuang, leave them to me. For Ego stood up at this time. It's about the overall situation at the moment. He must get rid of these special lives first. The gods can't hold them alone. Boom. The special being rushing in the front is 80,000 times the divine body. Before entering this place, the true spirit also bestows them many treasures, if their strength soar. 80,000 times the divine body is already the limit of the emperor. Even if he stepped into the tribulation realm, it would be difficult for the divine body to increase to 80,000 times. But the other party is a special life, a natural perfect divine body. Like Kaishui, it was 10,000 times the body at its weakest. Now it is normal to grow to this point, but it is a bit difficult for practitioners to reach 80,000 times the body. Even for a special divine body, it is difficult to do it. Boom. Huge palm prints descended, and the gods turned into golden dragons and roared to the sky. The strongest special being, alone entangled the Frozer. Thanks Tusk, happy, no loss is a strong robbery realm. The rest of the special beings looked eagerly, but they didn't go together either, but rushed towards Ego. Among these special lives, the two special beings ranked in the top 3 exploded one after another, and the divine body of 78,000 times was undoubtedly revealed. This guy will leave it to both of us. You go to destroy the big formation. Although the special beings are bloodthirsty, warlike, and their minds are not too bright, they are not fools either. Know the severity. Before entering this place, the true spirit had already given orders. There was only one person on the battlefield who had the final say, and he had to listen to his command. Yes. Among the remaining dozens of special beings, the weakest is more than 60,000 times the divine body, and there is one special being 74,000 times. Faced with these special lives, the faces of all the people standing in the big array were ashamed. No. The elders of the Moluo kingdom were so desperate, the black robes flew up suddenly, and a gust of weather erupted. Jian Wushuang quickly backed away. Although the formation of is a large formation that transforms life force, it still has some defensive power. For a while, those special lives still cannot be broken. What to do? Jian Wushuang was anxious in his heart. This kind of scene is beyond the scope of his ability, there is no way at all. The hard thing is absolutely impossible. Jian Wushuang stared at the three-way battle group. The battle between Jinling and Zhuangzhong was the most intense, both of them were complete robbery realm powerhouses, and the breath that erupted was the most intriguing. The second is the gods and Ego. The two of them originally thought that they could join hands to stop all special beings, but found that the 3 strongest of them could actually compete with them. End of this chapter. Chapter 5563. For a while, there is no way to tell the outcome. However, with the means of the gods, there should be a backhand. As for Ego, who was once a powerhouse in the 5 tribulations realm, it goes without saying that the pure strength is equivalent to the special life, but the combat experience and skills are far beyond the opponent. Up. In the long run, they still have a good chance of winning. But Jian Wushuang was afraid that the two of them were too slow, and if a big burst broke, they would all fall here. The last battlefield is this big formation. The emperors who came from the 4 secret realms in the formation, the strongest ones, were just ordinary peers. Even if the great elder of the Moluo kingdom burst out with super strength, he couldn't stop it at all. As for the shadow sect's few extremists, they are even more useless, and a special life outside the array can destroy them. Everyone, the big formation won't last long, we must change the formation. Following the voice, Ying Yi, who was speaking, was the number 1 strongest in shadow sect. Jian Wushuang frowned, and said coldly, "Change the formation? You treat this as your home, and you change when you say it changes. This formation is not simple." He is involved in the formation and knows the difficulty of it. "I have a way." Ying Yi's figure changed, and the golden light burst out from her body. "Puppet." Jian Wushuang took a closer look and found that the other party was actually a puppet. This surprised him. It seems that there is still a bit of a backhand. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate at the moment, directly took out the token that the formation mobilized and threw it towards the opponent. The body of a puppet is not a life, it can be integrated into the big array. Even sacrificing oneself to become an array spirit can change the big array. If this formation becomes the main defensive formation, with these people, it can be held firmly. Although the strength of these people is not that great, there are also a few outstanding, hundreds of 6th-order emperors, and it is not difficult to hold on. After receiving the formation token, Ying looked happy, and then began to give up, preparing to inject his consciousness into the formation token. The battlefield in the distance. What the gods care about most is the formation, and even more afraid that Jian Wushuang will fall first. "I have been staring at the rear all the time, and now I have figured out the other party's direct line. A barbarian with 80,000 times the divine body can't threaten him." The found something wrong. The formation is changing. Right now, he directly transmitted the sound of Jian Wushuang and asked about the accident. Hearing Ying Yi's incarnation as a puppet, his entire complexion changed. "Stop him." The Frozer roared too late to explain, and then his aura skyrocketed again, and the golden scales instantly changed into color, and for a while, the power of the tribulation realm broke out. The special voice of the 80,000 times divine body sneered, trying to stop the divine spirit, but was directly swallowed by a flame of arrogance, and the divine body began to shatter. This trick was used by the gods to exchange injuries for injuries. Seeing the gods in the distance desperately, Jian Wushuang was also stunned, but the great elder Mo Luo on the side responded quickly, and he understood right away. "Kageichi is a spy, get rid of him." Boom, boom, boom. At the critical moment, the elder of the Moluo kingdom directly burned the origin and the divine body, and instantly burst out several times the combat power, directly rushing over. Putting his hands together, an impact directly pierced both hands into Ying Yi's chest, and then a grimly roar, and the whole body's aura skyrocketed again, and an explosion directly tore Ying Yi's puppet body to pieces. Late. Kageichi's consciousness has completely entered the formation token. The big array began to change. Jian Wuduan was like dead ashes, he knew that this time was completely over. Ying Yi is not the backhand of the gods, but the backhand of the true spirits. What he should have thought of. The gods are trapped here, only consciousness can descend on the 4 main sources, without any substantive power, how can it be possible to refine a puppet? The big formation stopped running in an instant, and the original strong life force, together with the power of all things, burst instantly. The extreme operation of the large array suddenly stopped some of its fragmentary parts and directly turned into dust, and the already violent power of all things directly emitted a fiery flame. Go! Jian Wushuang also reacted quickly, and the beast god's wings suddenly shook behind him, and his figure disappeared instantly. The big array burst out with strong light and shadow. Boom! A powerful force burst out. Jian Wushuang, who had escaped a long way, was still shattered by a flame of arrogance, and the divine body began to shatter, and the origin quickly dried up. Fortunately, he now masters the power of life and constantly recovers himself. Time after death, time after time recovery. Let his strength continue to rise. Don't forget that the extreme way he mastered has another advantage, that is, every time he dies, he will explode with the potential to surpass the limit, causing his strength to skyrocket again. It would be useful to deal with ordinary extremes, but now they are facing those special lives. Even though he escaped from the big formation, Zhen Wushuang still had nothing to do. Ying Yi stopped the big formation forcibly, and took almost all the emperors to death. The real spirit who fought with Zhuangzhong looked happy. This is his backhand, and he didn't expect to play such a key role, but it was beyond his expectation. As for the fallen Shadow One, he is nothing more than a puppet, and he is well worth the money. There is nothing to regret, even a practitioner is nothing, it is enough to be able to destroy the divine spirit's tactics. Cool. Few people escaped from the big formation. Besides Zhen Wushuang, there was also the great elder Mo Luo, but now the other party's aura was very weak. Zhen Wushuang hurriedly rushed over. The opponent was a dead man of the gods. He was absolutely reliable. He had to help the opponent recover his strength. Otherwise, who will protect him? Zhen Wushuang went directly to the opponent and put one hand on the shoulder of the elder of Moluo Kingdom, and then a powerful life force was injected into the opponent's body. The elder of Moluo State was very surprised. He didn't expect this life force to be so strong. Although he knew that Zhen Wushuang had a special ability, he didn't expect it to be so strong, instantly restoring a supreme source and divine body. Even the physical body is very complete. There is a surprised elder of the Moluo Kingdom in his eyes, Ukanshu. Com didn't say much in the end, just gratefully said, "Thank you." "Don't thank me, stop those special beings first." Zhen Wushuang's views on the elder of the Moluo nation changed a bit, but he didn't expect the other party to say thank you. He thought the other party was a dead man. It turned out to be a bit human. After helping the opponent to recover from his injuries, Zhen Wushuang did not stop, and at the edge of the battlefield, he began to help those emperors who survived by chance. In addition to the elders of the Moluo Kingdom, there is also a Zhu Jian who also survived, as well as a few lucky sixth-order emperors. Although it is useless to know the other party, he still helps the other party recover their strength, and it can be counted as one if they can survive. Since mastering the power of life, he seems to have a kindness to all beings. In the past, it would take care of these people. Chapter 55-64. Only if he can help him will he go to help him. Now the sixth-order emperor is not helpful to him, but it is still a burden. In fact, it's no better than wasting energy, it's better to take the opportunity to escape. Those special lives were staring at them, but fortunately, the Frozer got out to block those special lives. Zhen Wushuang tried his best to calm his emotions. At this moment, neither escape nor fight will work. If Was can't do it, he has to change his mind and write. These strong players on the field are divided into 3 parties to be precise. Zhuangzhong counts himself as one side, the true spirit and the special life are one side. The rest are the gods Frozer and Foiego, and these two are regarded as one side. In fact, in terms of combat power, it is equal to 3 tribulation realms. The current situation is a stalemate. If the big formation is still there, perhaps their side still has a chance to win, but now without the big formation, as long as they attack him, the gods and Foiego will throw the rat. Now that the situation has changed, he has become very critical. If he hesitated stupidly, I'm afraid the real spirit will take action against him. Need an opportunity, or a set of rhetoric. Zhen Wushuang did not hesitate, but first transmitted the sound to the true spirit. Master True Spirit. Then again the voice of the gods was transmitted. He had a countermeasure in his heart. But it depends on whether the true spirit is willing or not. If he wants, the battle can be reversed in an instant, and even internal threats can be completely dismantled, and he himself will survive. As for Zhuangzhong, it was nothing more than a desolate beast, except for some bargaining chips in such a shutdown situation, it was useless. Zhonling and Zhuangzhong played against each other, and the two were on par. At the same time, he noticed the change of the situation, and he had half confidence in his heart, but it was only half confidence. Still need to fight now. Killing Zhen Wushuang first is the key. As long as Zhen Wushuang is killed, everything will be solved. Although it is impossible to completely eradicate the remaining troubles, at least it can be delayed for a few epochs. When the time comes when a strong robbery realm appears among the inheritors, he will also have no such worries. Jian Wushuang? Zhenling was a little surprised. The other party dared to transmit a voice to him. Are you not afraid that he will follow the cause and effect and kill him directly? Master True Spirit, the current situation is not beneficial to both parties. Even if I fall, Ego will recover to its peak one day based on his own recovery speed, and there will be a catastrophe in the Temple of Chishan. The True Spirit said with disdain, Jian Wushuang, no matter what, you are going to fall today, don't blame me. Although it was he who arranged Jian Wushuang as the bait at the beginning, but now he has to remove Jian Wushuang. As for Jian Wushuang's begging for mercy, it will make him a little disdainful. As a strong man, how can he beg for mercy? Jian Wushuang continued to persuade via voice transmission, Master True Spirit, don't you want to eliminate the troubles forever? Thanks, do you also fool people with this set? Zhenling sneered and said, this place is the first prison, no one can break it. Then why are you here? Jian Wushuang asked directly. If this place is really so powerful, why does the real spirit still come? Isn't it just afraid of the gods means? Ego is a giant of the Titans, a powerful giant of the five tribulations realm. If placed here, even if there is no means, the true spirit is probably not at ease. Zhenling's complexion sank, and with a backhand punch, Zhuangzhong slammed back. The voice transmission said, what do you want to say? The Titans are not as simple as you think. Jian Wushuang poked at the key point and continued, Master True Spirit, they are the Titans, the overlord of the stars, we don't have any deep hatred with them, why do we have to suppress them? He talked a lot with the gods, knowing that the other party had nothing to do with Chishan Temple. Since there is no holiday, it is better to simply let the other party out. It's not good for anyone to keep fighting like this. Of course the most unfriendly to him. Thinking about it from the trial to the present, as long as he has a relationship with the gods, he almost fell. The last time he was looted by the White King, this time he was looted by the gods. Both stand on the opposite side of the Temple of Chishan. He didn't want this either, but he was helpless but just a pawn. Let's talk about the Temple of Fortune, suppressing the giants of the giants. Are you afraid of causing disaster? At the time the three kings suppressed the Froza, but it attracted Ego. Isn't the true spirit afraid of attracting a stronger tribulation realm powerhouse? Now the gods have fallen. Without ambiguity, it is hard to say whether the first prison is still one way. After all, the gods can teleport them here. I am afraid there is also a way to go out. Maybe this method needs Ego to restore the peak, or need the help of a five tribulations realm expert. It's all possible. In this case, it is better to let the other party go. Zhenling was also taken aback when he heard his persuasion. But I don't think so from the bottom of my heart. Although the gods told Jian Wushuang many secrets, there were still some key reasons that were missed. Perhaps the gods didn't know why the gods had to suppress him. The true spirit knows the reason. This also has a big reason with Maruor time and space. When Maruor time and space collapsed, there was something to do with the Titans. What if the opponent was released to retaliate? Zhenling thought a lot more than Jian Wushuang. The current Temple of Chishan is still the overlord in this long river of time and space, because this place is a long river of time and space that has just been born. Anyone who comes to the tribulation realm will be able to dominate. But in some time and space that was stronger than Moruo's time and space at the beginning, there were tribulation realms that were stronger than Chishan. The Temple of Chishan is a moving treasure house. In front of such a strong person, it is nothing at all. Even if there are many backhands, the original intention of the Chishan Temple is to cultivate the inheritors, and it is really to be remembered by some great abilities. Not only can it not train the inheritors, but the Chishan Temple will be trapped to death. Jian Wushuang, what you think is too simple. Zhenling once again shot open Zhuangzhong severely. The breath in his body skyrocketed again, and he wanted to get out. Jian was double-faced color changed, and he still had to insist. This was his only way out, but he couldn't just give up like that. He felt the true spirit's killing intent clearly, and if this continued, he would be finished. Master True Spirit, what if they are willing to take the oath of life? Hearing the vow of life, Com really stunned for a moment. This time Jian Wushuang had no voice transmission, and the gods and Fuego also heard it. Oath of life. That is a major event that can affect the future tribulation. No one will swear such an oath for no reason. Fuego turned to look at the Frozer, and asked, "You agreed?" The did not speak, but his thoughts were turning. He did not agree or refute. The natal oath will indeed affect a lot, but it also depends on the conditions of the oath. If they swear not to retaliate against the Temple of Qi, and only ask the other party to let them out, that would be great. But Junling didn't have the ability to let them out, so he had never thought about it that way. End of this chapter. Chapter 55-65. Now it's different. As long as the true spirit promises not to interfere with them, he can also swear that after going out, he will not be disadvantageous to the Temple of Qishan. This sale is a bargain. That's why he didn't refute it. Junling was also stunned when he heard these words. He knew better than Jian Wushuang about his life oath. In the past, the two sides had no room for maneuver, so they didn't think about alleviating them at all, but never stopped dying. It's different now. Everyone sat together. Jian Wushuang saw that there was a play, and then said, "Master True Spirit, as long as you swear not to interfere with their plans, they can also swear not to do things that are detrimental to the Temple of Qishan." The best of both worlds. Fuego was originally very cautious, but after thinking about it, he couldn't help but clap his hands in applause. If this is the case, there is no need to fight. After regaining his peak, the Frozer has a way to take him out. As for revenge on the Temple of Qi, he really thought about it. As soon as he leaves here, he will notify the superpower of the clan to come. The Qishan Temple combines the power of a long river of time and space, and there are countless treasures in it, and it is the remains of a half-step 8Jia realm. The Seven Tribulations realm's great power is very eager. Of course he didn't want to let it go. Judging from the current situation, he could just go out and leave everything else. Frozer looked at Fuego and nodded, both of them acquiesced. Now I really nodded. Jian Wushuang was also very nervous. He was not afraid that the real spirit would gamble, betting that there will be a super existence among the inheritors in the future. Even if Fuego can get out of the first prison at that time, he can still be in the Temple of Qishan. Kill. The true spirit is also afraid, what if 1/6 Tribulations realm or several 5 Tribulations realm does not appear? It was too risky to deal with Fuego just by mobilizing the Sea of Origin. Fuego's peak combat power has half a step and 6 calamities. The true spirit mobilizes the Sea of Origin, and is not an opponent, and can only rely on geographical advantages to deal with it. Too risky. Jian Wushuang, this time you have done a great job again. Junling finally gave up the adventure and chose peace talks. Zhuangzhong was stunned when he heard this. Do not fight. Peace talks. What about him? Frozer, do you dare to play with me? Zhuangzhong was very atmospheric, and finally managed to survive until now and became the protagonist, but the two sides stopped fighting. Then he is useless, maybe the two sides will work together to kill him first. Zhuangzhong backed away quickly, frowning. Junling turned his head to look at the other party, and said coldly, Zhuangzhong, you beg for mercy now, I can spare your life and take you out. A tribulation realm, and a complete tribulation realm, also has the potential to rise. It is a good helper, provided that the other party submits and makes an oath. If so, the true spirit can bypass the opponent. The more important reason is that he seems to know how this guy escaped from purgatory. This is very important, because some of the tribulation realms imprisoned in purgatory are not even his opponents, and there is absolutely no room for error. Moreover, purgatory is the core of the operation of the Temple of Discord, second only to the Sea of Origin. No mistakes are allowed there. Zhuangzhong gritted his teeth and stared at Frozer angrily. Although he was a bit reckless, he was not stupid. Frozer abandoned him, he could not only turn his head to the real spirit, but was at the mercy of others. The Frozer didn't call the Zhuangzhong, but looked at the real spirit and said, let's take an oath first. I think it's better not to worry about Zhuangzhong. He was also afraid that Zhuangzhong had just taken refuge in the real spirit, and the real spirit would act on them again. Although I think a little bit more about this, it's about whether I can get out from here, and I have to guard against it. No problem, but please state the content of the vow in advance. Junling doesn't care, he cares more about the vow. The two sides formally negotiated peace talks and began to discuss oaths. Jian Wushuang was finally relieved. This time the crisis is resolved. If there is no reconciliation, he must continue to fight. He can only hide and enter the Guantian chessboard to survive. But to be trapped here forever, thinking about it is no different from falling. The strong should have traveled through the stars and traveled through every cosmic time and space, and being bound is really no different from falling. It's better to let the other party give it a lot of fun. Those special beings standing aside are a bit boring. Talking to each other one after another. This is the end. The special life of 80,000 times the divine body obviously hasn't been addicted yet, which is very regrettable. I thought it would be wonderful, but so. Jian Wushuang was not far away, he sneered in his heart when he heard the other party's words. After the battle, in fact, the two sides did not have much backhands, and the true spirit sent a clone to come, definitely not little preparation. After all, I was not sure. Just letting a puppet arranged in Shadowzong take the shot is nothing. If it weren't for his carelessness, the other party wouldn't be able to pick it up. There is also the Frozer, who has prepared countless epochs, and the backhand will not be less than the true spirit, and it is also useless. I really want to do it all. I'm afraid these special lives won't survive a few. It's already good to be able to stand here and talk now, and these special beings are all real bodies who come in, and whether they can go out is a problem, and they will even consider whether they are addicted to fighting. The two sides discussed for an hour, and finally the oath was finished. No problem, my request is not too much. Junling kneaded the fleshy beard at the corner of his mouth and looked at Frozer. Frozer frowned, and said coldly, I senti it a bit too much to not appear in the same time and space with the Temple of Chishan at the same time. Over the years, he has also understood that the plan of the Chishan Temple is huge. Not only must he cultivate inheritors, but I am afraid that he will go to some more powerful time and space battles in the future. If he encounters it, should he still have to hide? Don't forget, he is of the giant tribe, and he also wants to fight time and space. Could it be that you have to give up when you encounter the Temple of Chishan? Mph, so much time and space, are you going to be an enemy of Chishan Temple? Genling's small eyes glared, and he shouted angrily. The Frozer is not to be outdone. For this, it was another hour of entanglement. Jian Wushuang couldn't stand aside anymore, so he couldn't take a step back and take a step back. After entangled for such a long time, in the end, each retreats half a step, and can be in the same time and space, but Frozer cannot threaten the sphere of influence where the Temple of Discord is located. You can't even step in. Frozer is also satisfied with this, because neither side can step into their respective forces, which is also good for him. Well, since there is no problem, just swear according to the above oath. Wait. Frozer stopped the real spirit. Junling asked impatiently, have you ever finished? One more witness. Frozer said. Witness. Actually it is optional, but for the sake of formality, it is better to find one. With a move of Junling's eyes, he turned to look at Jian Wushuang. The gods also looked over. The two stared at Jian Wushuang, and Jian Wushuang looked straight. Chapter 55-66. Vower, Frozer. Jian Wushuang stood in the middle of the two with dignity, his voice high and powerful. He also held a piece of jade slip in his hand with the vows on top. Originally thought that two sentences would be almost the same. Unexpectedly, the two of them listed thousands of vows in them. I didn't expect it to be so troublesome. Although he felt a little embarrassed, the gods Frozer and the true spirit were very serious, and after hearing their names, they responded. Frozer stepped forward and said loudly, yes. Vower, true spirit. Junling also stepped forward, his voice sounded loudly, yes. Are you too? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. This time it was his turn to talk, and he finished talking for a long time. The Frozer and the true spirit showed a hint of pride on their faces. After all, they were both established. I do. The two answered at the same time. Jian Wushuang gave a dry cough and continued, let's start. Yes. My Titan, Frozer, my God Temple, the first true spirit. A long series of vows, it took a full half an hour to say, before it was completed. At the moment when the oath succeeded, an invisible air descended in the starry sky, and then merged into the origin of the two. If Frozer breaks his oath, he will fall through the catastrophe. Since the true spirit is not a cultivator, he has pressed the sea of origin of disobedience, and if he violates it, the sea of origin will collapse. Without the sea of origin, Chishan Temple is just an empty shell. The real spirit dare not take this risk. Cool. Jian Wushuang let out a sigh, and finally everything was done. Jian Wushuang, you did a good job this time. Once the giant clan in the origin of all things leaves, that origin will be yours, Zhenling said with satisfaction. The origin of all things, in fact, should have been given to Jian Wushuang. This time it was a smooth ride. Jian Wushuang was very excited about this. Not only did he save his life this time, he could also get the origin of everything, which is naturally best. Right now, he bowed respectfully and thanked him. Thank you, Lord Zhenling. Well, let's recover the strength of this seat soon, and leave from here soon. For Ego didn't speak the whole time, and now he couldn't help but remind him. Zhenling raised his hand slightly to signal that those special beings were backing away, and a large formation rose again here. This large formation was originally used as a backup, but now it seems that the gods are fully prepared, and changes have long been expected. Jian Wushuang and Ego stepped into the big formation at the same time, and the gods followed suit. This time, first recover my injury. Frozer still felt a little unstable. Afraid of another change, his original source recovery speed is relatively fast, it only takes 10 years. At that time, there will be a complete tribulation realm combat power. Even if there is a change, there will be confidence. Ego didn't care about this, sitting cross-legged in the center of the formation, relying solely on his own recovery ability, began to recover his origin. And Jian Wushuang is to help the Frozer begin to repair the origin of the opponent. As for the clone of the true spirit, it was viewed from a distance. Anyway, it's just a clone, and it's okay to stay here, so they chatted with Zhuangzhong and asked about purgatory. Zhuangzhong lowered his head, a little lonely, changed his previous vigor, and whispered, there is indeed something wrong with purgatory, and several tribulation realms have fallen. Zhenling's complexion changed drastically, he didn't even know. Although he could not directly enter the purgatory, he was able to sense the opponent in the robbery realm. Those familiar breaths are clearly there, how could they fall? It's devouring. Zhuangzhong's expression was moved, and there was fear in his eyes. When Zhenling heard the word swallow, he was also surprised. But he reacted quickly and asked, which god is it? It's Jiyu Jun. Zhuangzhong was a little sad. He almost fell to purgatory. The opponent's strength was really terrifying. Fortunately, he was only a small person in purgatory. The ancient Lord God did not care about him, but slaughtered the lords of the universe and swallowed the other's origin. Although the masters of the universe had fallen, the origin was swallowed by the ancient monarch, and the aura naturally remained. So the real spirit didn't find it. Jiyu Jun. Zhenling's expression changed sharply after hearing the name. One of the 3 Allahs fell and turned into the 5 great demon lords. There are 2 other people who originally thought the Temple of Ignorance, but they didn't expect that the evil would still be left. Perhaps it was the original being kind and unwilling to let it all out to harm the starry sky. Suppressed one of them. The true spirit closed his eyes slightly, and his subject consciousness returned to the deity. In the sea of origin, the true spirit sits in the Sevuing court and begins to deduct it. At the same time, some memory fragments are still being swallowed, that is the memory of the gods. The real spirit's deity and the clone opened their eyes at the same time. In my mind, there was a large picture and the conspiracy of the 3 Allahs. The first prison. The avatar of true spirit was a little cold, staring at Zhuangzhong, and interrogating, how is the strength of the ancient monarch? After learning about the conspiracies of those Allahs, or the evil thoughts of the gods at the beginning, they passed on to the source of devouring, so that the other party would remember them all the time. After all this is still the bane left by the gods. Although purgatory is strong, it is a treasure of time and space, but its power is also limited. If it is broken by the other party, the Temple of Chishan is really going to be finished. Compared with the original desolate god lord, Zhuangzhong replied. Comparable to shortage. Zhenling was in a daze. The strength of the desolate god lord is the pinnacle of the six tribulations realm, and can be ranked in the top 3 positions in Maruor time and space, and only the god of desolation can stabilize the desolation. The remaining 3 six tribulations realm mighty powers, one is a newly promoted six tribulations realm, and the other 2, there is one that does not belong to the Temple of Chishan. The true spirit is not known much, but Huang's strength is faintly among the 3 great gods the strongest. Jiyu Jun can compare favorably with Huang, which is very different from the memory he got. The 3 Allahs at the time were not so strong. Why is it so strong now? Fortunately, one fell. Now one is suppressed in the primitive universe, and one from is in purgatory. They are all on the head of Chishan Temple, like a stone. Retribution. This is the catastrophe of the Temple of Chishan. Can't hide it. Now that the internal troubles of the Titans have just been solved, a bigger hidden danger has come. The kind of lunatic Jiyu Jun is not so easy to talk about, and he really wants the other party to come out, so he can't lift the Temple of the Gods. Zhenling was afraid after a while, but fortunately he knew it in advance and could deal with it in advance. You mean, there was a crack in the battle? Follow the crack and you got here? Zhenling couldn't believe it. Purgatory is the treasure of time and space. How could there be a space crack? Zhuangzhong nodded and said firmly, it's true, it's just a gap in space that just appeared in front of me. Only I escaped, and I don't know why I appeared here. Chapter 55-67. This is troublesome. In case the crack reappears, Jiyu Jun can be here at any time. However, there have been several battles before, and there is no space. The time I escaped was strange. The battle was not the most intense. Jiyu Jun killed 2 4 tribulations realm powerhouses, and a crack suddenly appeared. Zhuangzhong was also very puzzled. When the ancient monarch appeared, he fought against several 5 tribulations realm, but there were no cracks. Instead, when the 4 tribulations realm powerhouse was killed, a spatial crack appeared. Maybe this has nothing to do with fighting, it's likely that there is a problem with purgatory. Zhenling also thought of this. If there is a problem in purgatory, it will be a big deal. Fortunately, the speed of the ancient monarch is not very fast, and now he has only swallowed a number of the 3 tribulations realm and the 4 tribulations realm, and is still digesting the results. There is still a lot of time left for him. The ancient monarch was transformed by devouring the origin. The more the strong swallowed, the stronger the strength. Is now comparable to shortage, which means that he has reached the pinnacle of the 6 tribulations realm. If you swallow all the tribulation realm of purgatory, I am afraid you can reach the 7 tribulation realm in half a step. At that time, come out along the crack again, and the Temple of Chishan will really be over. The 5 tribulations realm can still be suppressed, and the 6 tribulations realm requires a large number of backhands to be able to deal with it. 1/2 step 7 tribulations realm. The consequences could be disastrous. The pressure instantly came to Zhenling's head. Damn, why did you have to leave so much harm in the first place? Zhenling was very upset. The God of God should have killed all these people. Now he leaves him with a mess. What should he do? He is just a true spirit, and he can't get out yet. Inside the Chishan Temple, he has the power of the peak of the 5 tribulations realm. Dealing with the 6 tribulations realm requires mobilizing the Sea of Origin. As for the half-step 7 tribulations realm, he has nothing to do. Can only hope that purgatory will be strong. The treasure of time and space, even if no one controls it, it should not be difficult to suppress a half-step 7 tribulation realm. Zhenling comforted, and then asked about the many situations inside purgatory, before slowly closing his eyes. The cultivation of inheritors has to be accelerated. Can't procrastinate like this any longer. In recent years, several ultimate emperors have also appeared. After these little guys reach the 6th order emperor, there is nothing to experience in the 4 great secret realms. These ultimate emperors with great potential must be sent out for experience. The long river of time and space where the original universe is located is not as strong as the four great secret realms, so naturally it won't work, so it has to be sent to other powerful time and space. The clone is here to observe the recovery of Fuego and others, while the real body begins to preach on the tomb sacred mountain, and at the same time, it is constantly arranging various trials to temper the ultimate Taoist monarchs. Only enough ultimate emperors can cultivate the tribulation realm. Under his training, Shang has almost broken through. There are 1 and 2. By then, you can rely on this experience to continuously cultivate out of the tribulation realm. After the ultimate emperor becomes the tribulation realm, he is more powerful than the ordinary emperor of the origin Tao who breaks through the tribulation realm. As long as he is a practitioner of the ultimate way and becomes a tribulation realm, he can quickly become a powerhouse in the 3 tribulation realm. Then control a universe, the speed of cultivation will skyrocket, and he can quickly become a powerhouse in the 5 tribulations realm. This is the advantage of the ultimate way, which becomes more obvious from Daojun, monarch, and tribulation realm to the later stage. That's why the true spirits will spend their blood to cultivate those ultimate Taoists. As for the emperor of the ordinary origin, he is treated as a green leaf like fish farming. Only a few emperors with special origins will be focused on training. Millions of years, but a drop of water in the long river of time and space evaporates instantly. It's been millions of years since the opening of the Temple of Fortune, and today's testers have been calculated based on cosmic units. Used to be just the original universe where the Temple of Chishan was located, as well as the surrounding universe plundering trialists, now the scope has expanded to a whole long river of time and space. The handwriting of the Temple of Qi is bigger than they thought. In the Tomb Mountain, and even the Senate Palace, a large number of tasks have already begun, all of which are plundering tasks. Headed by the 6th Order Emperor, plundered the universe. As long as it is Yangxian, if you don't let it go, you will get rid of it when you see it. Daojun's requirements are extremely strict. Sometimes 90% of the fairy tales in a universe were looted, but the Dian Fairy and Daojun only looted less than 10,000 people. Most of Yangxian is undeveloped, the universe is uncertain, and there is a bright future. Dianxian and Daojun are generally finalized, and no matter how rich and powerful the temple is, it will not waste time on some waste. The dry uproar in the outside world has created tremendous competitive pressure inside the Temple of Chishan. Batches of powerful men were born, and they quickly compared the proud 5th Order emperors. Among the inheritors who were in the same batch with Jian Wushuang and others, some of the more powerful Dao monarchs, such as the Dao monarch Jiuyu of the heavenly and evangelical realm, were ranked among the top 500 in the universe in Dian Immortal before entering the Temple of Chishan. After entering the Tomb Mountain, it is even more vigorous, and at the peak it can be comparable to the Wandao Liu Dao monarch of Wanxing. After successfully joining the Dao and stepping into the Emperor, in millions of years, he has cultivated to the 5th Order Emperor. Although there is time to accelerate in the middle, perhaps it has been cultivated for hundreds of millions of years, but at the beginning he was considered a top inheritor. But now, it is only the 5th Order Peak Emperor, and the 6th Order Emperor has appeared in the inheritors behind, but it is not being compared. This also caused the early inheritors to be even more crazy, and even more desperate than the later inheritors. The 5th Order Emperor is still wandering in the 4 great secret realms, and the 6th Order Emperor, almost all left the Chishan Temple, and went to the long river of time and space. A few went to the land boundary. The disappearance of the gods made the realm disappear, but the killing of Broly, the superpower change road, has never stopped. Yakeinangshu. Com has become an absolute top, but he is still looking for his father-killing enemy. Earth-shaking changes have taken place in the outside world over the past million years. As for the rebellion of Jian Wushuang, it has long been left behind and no one mentions it again. Also remembered from the bottom of the hearts of a few people who were closer to Jian Wushuang. On the dark ruins, under the huge willow tree devastated by thunder and lightning, Hui Qing sat cross-legged on the ruins, but her white robe was spotless. He did not leave the Temple of Chishan with Da Shi, but on this ruin, he had meditation for millions of years. When he opened his eyes again, the stars in his eyes revolved, and the galaxies condensed. Master. Standing on the willow tree that was split in half by lightning, Jiang Shong was surprised to see the master opened his eyes. She thought she would practice here for hundreds of millions of years, but she didn't expect to leave the customs so soon. Over the years, Jiang Shong has followed Hua Qing through the 4 secret realms, and has also been to the Tomb Mountain. He has seen a lot and also knows how powerful his potential is. After cultivating for millions of years, she became a 6th-order emperor. She knew that all of this was related to the spirit of vegetation in her body. Chapter 5568. Her origin is the true spirit made by vegetation. I have read countless classics, and I have never heard of whose origin produces spiritual consciousness. This secret is only known to her and the master, and it has never been mentioned to outsiders. Hui stood up slowly, looked up at the willow tree, leaked a smile, and said, "We should go now." "Okay." Jiang Shong nodded in agreement, also very happy. In this ruin, she is really boring. Jiang Shong jumped down from the willow tree, but when he touched the ground, his heart moved. That is the trembling of the source. Jiang Shong's face immediately cooled down, and his mood was also broken. "It's okay, I'm here." Hua Qing put a hand on Jiang Shong's shoulder, helping the other party calm down, and her eyes were full of wisdom. He stopped practicing, but instead of leaving, someone came. And it seems to be an acquaintance. In the depths of the ruins, in the black mist, a figure slowly walked up, towering 10,000 battles high, and the cyan armor on his body was terrifying. The mist on the waist rose, accompanied by a roar of destruction. Qing Jiao didn't worry at all, and casually tore a desolate beast comparable to the 5th-order emperor in the ruins, and walked towards Hui Qing and the others. The sense of oppression caused Jiang Shong's eyes to shrink next to him, and the spirit of vegetation in his body was even more frightening. Hua Qing raised her eyes and looked at her, without any surprise, but rather calm. Stared at the blue-clad figure, and said calmly, "Why bother with it for so long?" Click. The blue-clad figure stopped, stepped on the brown withered bones on the ground, and made noises. "I didn't mean it, but I'm really interested, Hua Qing. I am very optimistic about you. I hope you can understand." The blue-clad figure spoke, and the black mist dissipated, revealing his appearance. "The person here is the Azure Dragon Hall Master. In addition to the true spirit, the strongest powerhouse in the Chishan Temple is terrifying. He is no longer as simple as the half-step robbery. He is a super strong who can match the robbery. It was only slightly weaker than the original Jueyun Great Emperor. If you go to the North Watch Tower, you can cross the 80th floor at least. Is stronger than those gods. This kind of character has been following Hua Qing secretly. The scariest thing is that Hua Qing actually knows." Came straight, Jiang Shong didn't dare to look at each other, his eyes kept avoiding, and he retreated behind Hua Qing. She had met Long Yi once, in the imperial capital of Great Xia, but that time Long Yi's target was not them, so there was not much pressure. If she really faced it, she would feel how terrifying the other party was. Hui Qing's complexion was still calm, and she said, "Since the palace master has no intention, why bother me as a disciple? Do you really want to protect her?" Long Yi frowned slightly. Since Hua Qing was able to spot him, she knew that she was not here for Hua Qing, but for Jiang Shong. The spirit of plants and trees in the opponent's body is the biggest hidden danger in the forest of 10,000 treasures, and it must be eliminated. Zhenling did not hesitate about this. As long as the opponent's strength exceeded his bottom line, he would immediately clean up. Compared to other threats, the spirit of vegetation is more terrifying. The so-called One Mountain cannot tolerate 2 tigers. There is only one true spirit in the Chishan Temple, and no second one can appear. The original true spirits can swallow each other and take away their homes. This is also the reason why the true spirits want to kill Jiang Shong. So I directly dispatched Long Yi to come and stare at him in secret. Unfortunately, Hua Qing kept Jiang Shong by her side and didn't have the opportunity to do it. Now Jiang Shong's strength has reached the 6th-order emperor, and the original true spirit has even reached the ultimate level. True spirit, he couldn't bear it, and with the pressure of the ancient monarch, he couldn't be more merciful. Even if Hua Qing is evil, he will kill Jiang Shong. Long Yi didn't speak this time, He sighed from the bottom of his heart. He also knew a lot about the specific reasons. After all, he had been staring for so many years. As one of the 4 great hall masters, he originally existed for the purpose of cultivating inheritors, but now he has to deal with an inheritor, he still can't bear it. After all, Hua Qing did not betray the temple of Qishan like Jian Wushuang, but practiced honestly. He is also very grateful to the temple of Qishuang. He has a strong personality, mood, and potential. He must be a candidate for the 3 gods in the future. Nowadays, among the inheritors, there are many strong ones who have inherited the 3 major gods, but few can inherit in the end. Hua Qing has that potential and strength. This kind of super inheritor, the strong man who will be determined in the future, is now going to step on the opposite side. What a pity. Dragon's breath soared, and his body exploded with an unmatched breath. He still wants to make Hua Qing retreat because it is impossible to stop him. Knows Hui Qing's character, but he must do the same, which shows how much he values Hua Qing. Is not only the Qinglong Hall, but also the White Tiger Hall and the Vermilion Bird Hall have a high evaluation of Hua Qing. The resources are fully supported, and the true spirit is to open the 3 kings' relics for Hua Qing, so that Hua Qing can successfully unite. Let's do it. Hui Qing's eyebrows were shining, and there was determination in his eyes. He couldn't give up his disciple. He also has a heart to guard. This is what he learned from his master. In the Great Wilderness Battle, facing an army of hundreds of millions of bones, the 9th-rank Dayan Immortal, the person who guarded him never retreated, and went to death generously. Now it's his turn. How can he retreat? How dare to retreat? If he retreats, it would be against his own Dao heart, and he would never be able to reach the peak in his entire life. In order to protect everything, he is willing to fight. Master, I will not lose your face. The long robe was floating, and in the mud, a touch of white robe monk's breath shook the sky, retreating thousands of miles of powerful enemies. Long stood with his hands in front of him, shocked in his heart. Just a breath can force him back. How can it be, is able to force him back, how strong Hui Qing is, but he clearly feels that Hui Qing is just a 6th-order peak emperor. How could it be so strong? You still hide your strength. Long Yi's eyes shrank and Calm stared at Hua Qing in disbelief. Hua Qing clasped her hands together, but her complexion was stern, without the kind eyebrows and eyes of the past. Good. This honor is the real great freedom. As soon as the dragon rose into the air, the aura on his body skyrocketed again, with joy on his face, and smiled. It seems that there is going to be a big battle. Originally thought it would be a crushing, but Hua Qing did not expect Hua Qing to hide his strength. He really wanted to take it seriously. He was also very excited at this moment. He didn't expect that Hui Qing's potential would be so strong. After only a few years, he has reached the top level. Please. Hua Qing raised her hand and made a gesture of please. Only this time, neither of them was polite, and shot directly. 2 huge breaths trembled together. Jiang Shong hid in the distance, his face pale. Although neither of them said it clearly, but she had some guesses in her heart. It might be because of her that Ryuichi was provoked. She had heard of Long Yi's strength, and she was very worried about her master. Hua Qing was her only living relative. When her brother died, she would never allow the master to leave her. Chapter 55-69. A pair of small hands clenched tightly, nails pierced the palms of the palms, and the bright red blood moon flowed from the gaps between the fingers and dripped on the ruins. Over the ruins, the fighting between the two was fierce. Long Yi became stronger as he fought, and his breath continued to rise, while Hui Qing's breath continued to weaken. Even if it reaches the ultimate level, it is still very difficult to fight against a strong like Long Yi, especially in the experience of fighting. It is even more crushed. One carelessly, countless fist shadows fell, Hui Qing's eyebrows shone, her figure disappeared in an instant, and she hid behind him. Before he stopped for a moment, an afterimage appeared behind him. It was Long Yi. Boom! A heavy leg kicked Hui Qing's back fiercely. After the dull sound of the blow, it directly shattered Hui Qing's physical body and also tore the divine body. Hui Qing's body was heavily smashed into the ruins, and the entire ruins were sunken. Jiang Shong was extremely angry in his eyes, but even if her strength was gone, she might not be able to stop around and would only distract the master. I can only watch. But before she knew it, her breath kept rising, which was a leap without a limit. Soon it came to the brink of the summit. In the deep pit of the ruins, Hui Qing's white robe shattered, and slowly stood up from the ruins, with some bloodstains on the corners of his mouth, and the injuries on his body began to recover under the condition of naked eyes. Bah! He tore off the torn robe on his body and revealed a set of black brocade clothes, which matched Hui Qing very well. His body was cracked, but the black brocade did not even have a crack. Just now Long Yi's power was enough to destroy the ordinary eternal treasure, but this suit did not break, obviously not a mortal thing. This is a peak eternal treasure. Puff! Hui Qing turned her head and spit out saliva, moved her body slightly, and looked up at Long Yi in the air, her expression calm. The battle just now was just a warm-up. Long Yi raised his eyebrows. This time he was not surprised by Hui Qing's strength, but found that the other party was very calm. Hui Qing, aren't you afraid? Staring at Hui Qing, Long Yi was very puzzled. The other party didn't use all his strength, so he didn't hide it. After all, he was the inheritor, and he didn't want to crush Hui Qing directly. I really want to use my full strength. I am afraid that Hui Qing has just fallen. In the temple of Chishan, apart from the true spirit and the other 3 hall masters, no one could resist him for a turn. Just so confident. As for the other 3 hall masters, it was not because of how strong the other party was, but because they were all the same, they were puppets, and it was difficult for them to be killed by the robbery. Unless it is the powerhouse of the 3 tribulations realm that has mastered the universe, it will be able to defeat them head-on. The defensive ability is even stronger than the great Emperor Jueyun back then. Hui Qing can't stop him. He just didn't want to hurt Hui Qing. It would be better to solve it peacefully and hand over the girl. Although he is a puppet, he also understands people's hearts. Hui Qing leaped into the sky, facing Long Yi, with a loud voice. My master taught, don't be afraid if you want to guard. At the beginning, his masters did not fear death. In order to protect him, all fell. Jian Wushuang did the same, desperately protecting him, escaped from the army of corpses, and stood in front of him when facing death. How could it be possible to go back when it was his turn to guard at this moment? Long sighed, shook his head, and then his eyes changed a little, and he said, then don't blame me. This time, he won't keep his hands, he will directly wound Hui Qing seriously, and then take Jiang Shong away. No way, everything is for the overall situation. To threaten the true spirit, that is to threaten the entire temple of Chishan, he had to do it. If it is for other reasons, he is willing to intercede, even against the will of the true spirit. Yulong Shangbin, Long shouted angrily, and his towering body began to shake. Puff! The blue armor on his back was broken, stings appeared, and the dragon's tail swayed up from behind, and his face was directly transformed into the state of a dragon. At this moment, Long Yi's strength directly surpassed the general, but it was only half of his combat power, but it was already enough to deal with Hui Qing. Now Hui Qing's strength is at best comparable to Wu Zuo, and he can match Wu Zuo at the beginning, and is already very strong. As soon as the terrifying breath came out, Hui Qing was directly shaken out of the country. Under the shining beams of light, barely blocking the wave of air, Hui Qing, who stood still, burst out with all his strength. The mark on the center of his eyebrows flashed, and his strength reached its peak. Reincarnation. Long Yi used the pinnacle secret method, and Hui Qing also used the reincarnation technique he had just raised to the level of the universe secret method. For a time, the breath of both of them was very sharp. But in the eyes of outsiders, there is still a huge difference in strength. Long Yi's strength was a level stronger than Hui Qing. There is no suspense in this battle. Boom! The strong breath tore through the space of the human world, and Long Yi unilaterally crushed Hui Qing through the space. This is the double suppression of state and power. Hui Qing reached the summit because the realm of space, except for the secrets of the universe, was still a black hole and did not reach the universe. I suffered a big loss as soon as I played against it. The breath suppressed by Long Yi began to drop. Fortunately, reincarnation jerk, but the core of the reincarnation saint, one of the 3 major gods, Yu Ukanshu, Com has now been improved by Hua Qing and has reached the level of the cosmic secret law, only to be able to barely block Long Yi's first blow. Bang bang! There was a burst of air, and Jiang Shong in the distance heard only the sound, but did not see the shape of the two. At this time, Jiang Shong, whose aura had already reached the highest level, couldn't see the two fighting each other. He was still far behind in the realm of space. Swish! The two figures appeared together in the next moment, but after another moment of fighting, they disappeared again. Jiang Shong could only feel that Master Huiqing's aura was steadily weakening, while Long Yi, who played the Yulong Shangbin, became stronger in the Vietnam War. Hua Qing gasped heavily, and after he took another punch again, his body began to shatter. This time it was really broken, and he didn't even have the power to repair it. He has reached the point of burning the origin, and if he doesn't burn the origin, he is likely to be beaten by the dragon to the origin withered next time. The divine body burns. Huiqing's eyes burst and began to forcibly burn the divine body. From the basic 50,000 times the divine body, it continues to climb. 58,000 times, 60,000 times, 65,000 times. Hua Qing broke out completely at this moment, and roared up to the sky. Who could have imagined that Hua Qing, who was once gentle and gentle, would have such a crazy day? Boom! The forcibly burning divine body instantly transformed into strength. A full 70,000 times the divine body erupted. Hua Qing was like a god, holding a stick in one hand and a fist in the other, with a grim complexion, clenched teeth, and a blood moon flowing down her mouth, already falling into a state of madness. Long's eyelids were trembling, and the next moment he waved his right hand, a blood-colored cloak appeared behind him instantly, and a long spear that had frightened him for hundreds of millions of years came and appeared in his hand. Chapter 5570. Not cruel, but to show enough respect. It was also because he didn't want to watch Hua Qing fight to death, and wanted to resolve the battle quickly. As long as he suppressed Hua Qing, he could directly take away Jiang Shong. Zhenlong's spear. Only I am the peerless warrior of the Temple of Forbidding. I am very glad that you can see him. A smile leaked from the corner of Long's mouth. Countless epochs have not really taken a shot, and at this moment his combat power has increased to 70%. Hua Qing didn't speak, but stood firmly in front of Long Yi, without a trace of wavering. Above the ruins, under the gloomy sky, two superpowers are fighting against each other. The breath of this place has already shaken the entire human world secret realm. Although among the four great secret realms, the human world secret realm has the least sense of existence, but there are still a few superpowers, all at the edge of the ruins, watching this place. The strongest battle between heaven and earth. Although they couldn't face the battle directly, just feeling the two powerful breaths made them feel addicted. The aboriginal superpowers are yearning, but no one dared to step forward. At that level of battle, they didn't have the qualifications to watch it at close range. Do you know the identity of the other party? A supremely strong man with a folding fan in his hand looked at the middle-aged Yuluan white-crowned man. The bottom of my heart is very curious. Where does this kind of power come from? The strongest of the four secret realms is the Tomb of the Gods. The human world is the closest to the tombs of the gods, just below them. I have gone down there before and encountered many powerful special beings, but they don't feel that they are deep in the ruins too powerful. The middle-aged man called the Doormaster is the Doormaster of the strongest force in the human world, Fengmanshan, and one of the oldest in the human world. He has a high status and knows a lot. The sect master shook his head. This time he really didn't know the details of the other party. Those two breaths were very peculiar, and they were likely to be inheritors, not the powerhouses of the four secret realms. He was fortunate enough to have seen this kind of tyrannical aura once, and that time the strong man who broke the robbery arm came, and that breath made the entire human world tremble. Later that mysterious strong man never appeared again. Feel it well, this level of battle may be the strongest decisive battle we have ever seen in this life. The master of the door closed his eyes like a torch. Although he could only feel two auras in the fight, he could barely see the figure, but he could feel that. The two breaths have been colliding, which is enough. A group of people stood outside the ruins, quietly watching. A storm has formed in the ruins. The center of the storm is Huiqing and Longyi. Then after the divine body, his strength skyrocketed, but Longyi's strength also increased to 70%, which was still very difficult. Coupled with the power of burning the divine body to transform, it was very unstable, and now the divine body had begun to fall. In addition to the divine body, there is also the origin. The desperately fighting Huiqing, even the origin burned without scruple, causing the dragon's expression to change. No matter how much the divine body burns, even if the foundation is damaged, it can be repaired, but the origin is different. Once a defect occurs, it cannot be restored. Jian Wushuang has the power of life, and can't restore the origin of the indigenous emperor. Longyi, who cherishes his talent, couldn't bear to see Huiqing break the path of the strong, and immediately broke out, showing all his strength. The Zhenlong spear swept across, directly sweeping Huiqing, who was burning the divine body, into two. Then he shook his empty hand and shouted angrily, "Town, hum!" Huiqing, who was preparing to work hard, suddenly felt that the whole person had become very light, and his consciousness was also blurred, and it felt like he had fallen into a bottomless abyss. Huiqing still couldn't stop Longyi's terrifying methods. The two figures appeared, and Longyi was intact as before, but the aura on his body was stronger, and his complete combat power made the entire human world tremble. But Huiqing only had two mutilated bodies left, and the divine body was completely shattered, leaving no trace, but the origin was still intact. It's just that his own consciousness has fallen into a deep sleep, which is the consequence of being injured too seriously. Once the origin drops to 30%, it will automatically fall asleep. Jiang Shong, who was hiding under the willow tree, found that he could not feel the breath of the master, and his eyes turned red. She, who was supposed to be distraught with grief and indignation, didn't even cry for some reason. Just standing there quietly, staring at the two bodies floating in the air. She held her hand slightly, and a green light radiated from her body. If Jian Wushuang saw it, she would definitely be shocked. Life force. At this time, a huge amount of life force emerged in Jiang Shong's body. In her origin, the grass and wood spirit, holding his paws, said in a weak body, "Master, I'm so sleepy." The spirit of vegetation exhausted his strength to elevate Jiang Shong's origin to the extreme. In Jiang Shong's original space, countless black holes were born without a single star. These black holes continued to swallow and evolve, and finally turned into a complete space, a very real space. The spirit of grass and trees used his own life to help Jiang Shong directly master the universe. Today's Jiang Shong has been promoted to the top. And still in the universe, Ukanshu. The ultimate realm of promotion. The strength is stronger than the absolute pinnacle that created the secret of the universe, especially her origin, which is very special, but inherits the origin of the spirit of vegetation. That vitality comes from the spirit of vegetation. Born life. Let go of him. Jiang Shong's voice was cold, his head slightly lowered, his figure rose and stood in front of Longyi. That life force was directly injected into Huiqing's body. The originally mutilated body began to heal. It's just that this life force is not complete and cannot cure the root cause. So Huiqing is still in a coma. Although Longyi was surprised at this, the other party actually had the power of life, which was too strange. The reason for staying with Huiqing was because of his own person. Facing Jiang Shong, Longyi would not keep anything. The opponent's strength suddenly soared so much for some reason, but it was fine. The current Jiang Shong is comparable to Huiqing just now, not even as good as Huiqing, which is nothing to Longyi. Little girl. Longyi's words were not finished yet. The next moment his eyes burst, a burst of force instantly penetrated his chest, and he looked down and saw that it was Jiang Shong. With just one finger, it directly penetrated the cyan armor, and a hole appeared in the chest. Longyi didn't react, and his breath had begun to weaken. The blow just now caused him injury, not only the physical injury, but also his origin. This. Longyi stepped back, pointing at Jiang Shong and said in horror, "How is it possible?" Jiang Shong's complexion was cold, and he did not give Longyi a chance to relax. He shot again, and the red long sleeves flew behind him, rushing towards Long Yi. At this moment, she didn't even know it, and before she knew it, she already had the power of the tribulation realm. Chapter 55-71. But she is just a newcomer. It was the power of plants and trees that released her own life force, and she had only reached the pinnacle, but now she was able to hurt Long Yi and even crush it. Long Yi's defenses were so terrifying. Jie Jing tried to hurt Long Yi, but he didn't expect that he would be injured by a little girl today, and he would still be beaten under pressure. Long red sleeves wrapped around Long Yi, making him immobile. Jiang Shong raised his hand again and pointed out. The space shattered, and the dry bones on the ruins began to rise. The world fade. Long Yi, who was by Wu Huada, yelled Yulong Shangbin. This is the secret method of the peak of the universe specially created for him by Chishan. How could it be that simple? Boom. The red sleeves that trapped him burst instantly, and Long Yi broke free. After breaking free from the restraints, Long looked a little embarrassed, and said with relief, "No wonder. No wonder Lord True Spirit wants to suppress you. He understands now. Understand thoroughly." Long Yi didn't look at Jiang Shong, but at the afterimage behind Jiang Shong. A towering giant tree stands behind Jiang Shong. No wonder Jiang Shong's strength is so strong. It turns out that he still has a helper. Long Yi recognizes that willow tree. That is the willow god of the forest of 10,000 treasures. That is the real master of the universe. Liu Shen, originally an ordinary willow tree in Mo Luo time and space, was later enlightened by Qi Shen, because a person who was very important to Qi Shen was buried under this willow tree. With the help of the gods, that ordinary willow tree transformed into a spirit and created the forest of 10,000 treasures. In the end, he mastered a universe and became the master of the universe. After the fall of the gods, the forest of the gods was moved to the temple of the gods of the gods. Later, the consciousness of the willow appeared in the forest of the gods, and that consciousness was not the same as the willow they knew, and after this consciousness appeared, then revived some of the spirits of vegetation in the forest of 10,000 treasury. This real spirit couldn't bear this at all, so a group of strong men were sent to open up wasteland and slaughter the forest of 10,000 hiddens. Eventually, the willow god appeared, and the real spirit also ended. There will be a shocking battle. I didn't expect to be alive. Long Yi immediately passed the news to Zhenling. It's a big matter, and it's beyond his ability. The origin of the sea. Zhenling opened his eyes and said to himself, "Mich, I know you are not dead." On the chessboard, he placed a piece again, this time in the first prison. For ego has reached the pinnacle. Now Froza and Froza are preparing to leave the first prison. That touch of picture finally fixed on Jian Wushuang, the true spirit deity of the Sea of Origin, leaking a smile. Then transmission Long Yi. You come back, don't worry about this matter. When Long heard this, he was a little puzzled, but he didn't really want to do this kind of thing at first, and did not hesitate to put away his breath. He glanced at Hua Qing, thinking about taking Hua Qing away to help him restore his origin, but when he thought that Jiang Shong was still watching him, with the help of God Liu, he wanted to take Hua Qing away, but he didn't have that strength. Little girl, although I don't know why you got the help of Liu Shen, I advise you to break the relationship with it, otherwise Hua Qing will never have peace. After Long Yi left this sentence, he directly tore the space. Leave instantly. Jiang Shong was naturally not in the mood to chase the other person, but she kept that sentence in her heart. Master will never have peace. Cool. She turned around cautiously, looked at the towering giant tree behind the sky, and was stunned. The next moment, the giant tree collapsed. Jiang Shong's whole body was shocked, followed by a violent backlash. His body was weakened to the extreme, and he fell from the extreme realm back to the Sixth Order Emperor. The strength just now does not belong to her, but the universe is still real, and as long as she recovers, she will still be the strongest. It's just that Master Hua Qing was still in a coma, and she didn't think much about it. With the unconscious master, she also left the ruins. For a while, the ruins fell into silence again, and the black mist gradually fell. In the dark fog, if you look closely, you will see a wooden boat slowly drifting over. On the wooden boat there is also a hat with a round pointed head and a light lantern in his hand. That light lantern is very similar to the guardian of the Tomb of the Gods, but the strength of the two is very different. Life. The old man on the canoe whispered, his face looked haggard when he looked up close. With a murmur, the wooden boat disappeared. No one knew what happened, not even the true spirit in the Sea of Origin. As for Jiang Shong, he is just an ordinary sixth-order emperor now, and he has never found a trace of strangeness. All the aura in the ruins disappeared, and those who paid attention to this place came to the top of the human world. Gone. It seems that the appearance of the third strong man broke the deadlock. What a pity. These people obviously haven't watched it. After staying here for a short time, these people also dispersed. The human world fell into peace again. Swish. In the human world that had just calmed down, a group of strong people appeared again, and they were stronger than the aura just now, but these people were converging their auras, covered by a light and shadow. No one noticed it. Finally figured it out. I have waited for this day, for countless epochs. It was the Frozer and others who appeared here, along with Jian Wushuang and the avatar of True Spirit, as well as Zhuangzhong, the strong man in the robbery realm. For ego was nothing. When he was suppressed, only consciousness was left, and he didn't feel anything. The gods are different. He was trapped in the ghost place of the first prison, trapped in countless epochs, and now he breathed the breath of the human world for the first time. At this moment, no matter how much he paid, it was worth it. Even the air feels very sweet. It's a pity that there are ruins below. If you go to the east and see a forest, where the air is sweeter. Zhenling was a little impatient on the side, urging, well, the breath of the primitive universe is sweeter, let's go. When he said that, he opened a cosmic channel, and went out along the channel, which was the original universe. Enter the universe, tear space at will. You can enter the long river of time and space. At that time, they are truly free. Where's the massa? Don't forget him. For ego reminded him from the side. At this time, a crack appeared in the space again, and a Taoist in yellow robe, holding a giant egg in his hands, walked out of the crack. The visitor is Wuzhua. Now it's all together. Zhenling joked from the side. Frozer went lazily to talk to Zhenling, motioned for Foigo to take it, and turned to look at Jian Wushuang. This time, it was possible to get out of trouble so smoothly, but Jian Wushuang was all about it. Not only helped the two of them recover, but also brought him into peace talks with the true spirit. Even if Jian Wushuang could not be taken away, he had to have a close friendship. Jian Wushuang's potential is not weak for the giant gods, he will definitely become a catastrophe in the future, and the Lord of the Universe will not be difficult, and there will still be a chance to meet again in the outside world. Chapter 5572. This time, thanks to Brother Wushuang, Frozer's old brother directly pulled his relationship with Jian Wushuang to the nearest. Jian Wushuang was a little awkward, but he was still very happy when he thought that the other party would get out soon. Half of the reason he has gotten here today is due to the Frozer, and half is due to Yuzuo. They are all giant pits, the plague god. Jian Wushuang would not take the diligence of the gods seriously, nor did he dare to take it seriously. The true spirit next to him was still watching. He could not be too enthusiastic or humble. Since the other party wants to be equal to him, he is not welcome. With a dry cough, he said, "It's a small matter. Simple and clear is the best, and Zhenling would like to see it. This is not a trivial matter. I owe you a favor in private. When you encounter it in the future, don't be polite. If you are not used to it, even if you are not used to it, come to me at any time. Hold the card. Anyone who encounters my giant clan's strong, as long as you take out this token, there is no danger." This is very domineering, but even the real spirit does not suspect that the other party is exaggerating. The giant gods really have this strength. Jian Wushuang also understood that there was a slight movement for a while, but the other party's words clearly meant to devalue the Temple of Chishan. He hesitated for a while, whether to take it or not to take it. "Since I've given it all, you can accept it." Zhenling saw Jian Wushuang's entanglement on the side, and he was a little more generous, and took the initiative to help Jian Wushuang to get through the siege. Only then did Jian Wushuang dared to accept the token, and at the same time bowed and thanked the true spirit. The matter has reached this point, and it can be regarded as a complete ending. The strongest black hand shrouded in the 4 secret realms is about to withdraw from the history of the Temple of Chishan. The unlucky Froza, the cold-hearted Fiego, and the unhatched Fulmars. 3 powerful giants walked into the passage. Froza looked back and then went straight into the passage. Since his birth, he has spent most of his time in the Temple of Chishan, which is also his first hometown. Jian Wushuang looked at their backs and heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. The true spirit is very relaxed on the side, finally sending these people away, and the 4 secret realms in the future will restore calm and completely become the back garden of the inheritors. As for the bigger troubles, it was in purgatory, and he had no choice but to take one step at a time. Wow! After Zhenling put away the passage, he turned to look at the few people left by Froza. In addition to Jian Wushuang, there are also the great elder of the Moluo kingdom and several emperors. It wasn't a threat to it, but since it was a dead warrior, there was no need to keep it, and the emperors turned into fans in the wave of hands. Elder Mo Luo's body was shocked. He was not a dead man. He had known that there would be such a day for a long time. He did not resist, but closed his eyes. Wait. Jian Wushuang brazenly stood up and said, Master True Spirit, he is not a dead man. Can you kill him and let him go to the mine to make up for the big mistake? Seeing this, Wuzhou hurriedly cooperated with Jian Wushuang and said, Master True Spirit, this time I won a complete victory. These robbers, young people, let the subordinates come down and solve it. The elder of Moluo Nation, although there is no fear in his heart, he also wants to live in his heart. Right now, I felt grateful for Jian Wushuang and Wu Zuo. Zhenling squinted at Wu Zuo, only to make Wu Zuo close his mouth and step aside. But it's just an absolute top, since he has mentioned it, there is no need to add another massacre. Among the inheritors now, whether it was Hua Qing he had been optimistic about before, or Jian Wushuang that he hadn't been optimistic about, he was offended one by one. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang said that he sent some treasures and kept them for use. But Hua Qing is different, she has a hard time. At that time, it took such a high price to cultivate, and as a result, it cultivated a scourge. I don't know if there is a ghost around. To Jiang Shong, the true spirit is not soft, and this threat is greater than that of the giant gods. Dealing with the giant gods, you can also defeat and deal with it head-on, but the original true spirit in Jiang Shong's body is of the same kind as him. What if he is suddenly taken away that day? However, now he has paid attention. If this is the case, then spare his life. As for the mine, you don't need to go to the mine. Let's follow Jian Wushuang as a guardian. What happened last time can't happen again, Zhenling said with emotion, as if I feel like I almost lost a general. Wu Zuo was surprised to hear from the side, and he was even more certain that Jian Wushuang would definitely be the master of the Temple of Chishan in the future, otherwise the true spirit would not be able to save Jian Wushuang at such a price. Secretly decided in his heart that he must hug Jian Wushuang, the future nobleman. He thought all this was the merit of Zhenling. If he knew that in the first prison, Zhenling would have almost handed Jian Wushuang to his hand. He didn't know what he would think. Jian Wushuang, who knew everything, didn't think so. Zhenling was suddenly so polite, maybe there was nothing good. This time he will no longer believe in the words of the true spirit. Even if Com beat him to death, he will not stop. By the way, these special lives are all escorted to Maureen Mountain and given to Maureen. Only then did Zhenling realize that there are still a group of people with more headaches to solve. Behind him there are dozens of special beings with outstanding combat power. Originally planned to keep them in the first prison, but after discovering the situation in the purgatory, I dare not leave these people there. What if there are problems again? As for what he originally promised, he would not fulfill his promise. The true spirit pointed to Zhuangzhong, a strong robbery realm on the side, and said, You go too, look at these guys, when are you willing to take the magic circle, and when will you let them out? After hearing those special beings, their complexion changed drastically. You can't do it if you want to open your mouth. Zhuangzhong has now become of the true spirit, without any complaints, he can only do so. It's good to be able to come out. When Wu Zuo heard Zhuangzhong's name, he was a little surprised. He knew each other, and they happened to be on the way, so he approached. Once a disciple of Chishan, Zhuangzhong also naturally knew Wu's were. Since the two are the same master, the two are also considered to be compatible. On the ruins, there are only 3 people left at this time: Zhenling, Jian Wushuang, and the great elder Mo Luo. Thanks, Tusk, this time you did make a great contribution. You can go directly to the Senate Palace to get the origin of everything. Don't worry, no one will embarrass you, Zhenling said seriously. This time Jian Wushuang chose to believe in the other party, but there was nothing he could do if he didn't believe it. The true spirit turned his head and signaled the elder of Moluo Kingdom to retreat first, and then arranged the next enchantment and cautiously said, "I have one more thing here, I want to remind you." Jian Wushuang heard the words and leaned over, and the two whispered to each other, making Jian Wushuang's complexion completely sink. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.